Hello, once again. Welcome to the Nick and Mo Show. Woo! And normally I have a very adept international rugby star, Rugby World Cup winner and co-host, but she also this week is a TikTok Women's Six Nations Player of the Match. Good evening, Mo Hunt. How are you?
Good evening, Nicholas. Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. You catch me in one of my other jobs doing a bit of producing today, edit producing. But yeah, look, lovely to be here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's great to have you with us once more. We have got an absolutely jam-packed show for you tonight. We're going to be hearing from the likes of Gabrielle Vernier, the French centre. We've got that post-match interview with Rachel Malcolm, a bit of reaction from her Scotland male colleague in Andy Nicol, the former Scottish and British and Irish Lions scrum half. We've got Katie Daly-McLean and Rachel Burford, who are going to be showing up, and Laura-Jane Jones a little bit later. And we'll shortly be hearing from Lana Skeldon as well, who was earning her 50th cap for Scotland at the weekend. Well, first of all, I guess, Mo, we should just talk about, well, your afternoon in Italy. We'll come back to it a little bit later, but things couldn't really have gone any better, could they?
No, it was a decent run out for the whole squad, like really, really enjoyable. So yeah, everyone loved it. Personally, just amazing to be back pulling on that shirt. So yeah, pretty happy. Sitting here happy.
Yeah, I should imagine so. And you were in the stands when the sort of camera panned to you. Was that the first moment you thought, "Hold on a minute, have I ended up getting this nod?"
No, so it was there for ages before, but on Poppy, and he was like down below. I don't know if you could see, but the railings were all across. And I was like, mate, that's a hell of a shot. She was like, yeah, it looks like I'm in jail. So we all thought it was Poppy for a while, and then obviously like it just panned a little bit more. So I'm not sure if they thought I was Poppy or they got the wrong person. But yeah, it was a bit of a shock, to be honest, but super happy.
Yeah, and given your time out, given that Simon Middleton has sort of said to you, look, I want you to come in, I don't need you to be front and centre leadership all the time, I'll just get your head down and play the game. Has it sort of felt a bit odd to then suddenly be centre stage, having one player of the match?
You know what it's like though, like as in the media, I feel like when you're talked about a fair bit or there's a bit of hype around you, then it's like not it's an easy choice, but it kind of like alludes you to there a little bit more. So I think like genuinely I was a little bit shocked about it. I thought Alex Matthews, Lydia Thompson to name two had amazing games. So yeah, like I came off the pitch and was like, oh, I made a few errors, like I feel a bit bad about it, but I'm super happy. Like I've watched it back. The one thing I wanted to bring was tempo, and I feel like I did that. So yeah, not too bad. Not a bad day at the office. It was just awesome to be back out there with the girls, to be honest.
Yeah, I bet you look like you were loving it, and always good to get a player of the match when one of your teammates gets a hat trick. So I'm sure Lydia Thompson is absolutely delighted with you. So that
it's not about the tries, Nick. It's not about the tries. You know that.
It's as we used to say in touch, it wasn't even about the assist, it's about the assister to the assist. For anybody that hasn't seen the results then, Matt, if we could just bring in the results from round two. So there we have, I was over in France watching them thump Ireland by 40 points to 5. Then Wales, what a game we saw in Cardiff. Another record crowd. We'll be chatting about that game shortly. 24-19 against an unlucky Scotland team who gave it absolutely everything. And then Italy, as we mentioned, England were successful. Mo, the player of the match, as they put 74 points on Italy. I think a few of us said it might be sort of 25 points plus. We were certainly sorely mistaken. England absolutely ruthless in Italy. So there we are. Those are the round two results. I was then in France, as I mentioned, and well, they really did the job on Ireland. There was an Irish side that for a lot of that first half seemed to be really struggling with pass and catch. There seemed to be a few basics missing. And well, the French, they managed to come together. They had a slightly stronger side than they named last week, and they really did the business. And I had a chance to speak. So they've got a couple of English speakers in the team. So I shoved my phone in the face of their number 12. Had a much better game this week. It's Gabby Vernier.
Much more better than last week. We were more performant in scrum and in touch, and it shows a different game. I think we enjoy much playing it. It was a lot of pleasure, and we did a great first half. Second half a little bit more difficult, but I think it's a good performance, and we'll try to work on our difficulties and improve for next week against Scotland.
When you play a team like Ireland, who are at the start of their journey, but you are a team that are hoping to peak this year with a Rugby World Cup. How easy is it to maintain your focus on what you need to do, knowing that this should be a game that you win?
With the game of last week, I think it shows us how difficult it is to win every game. So we have to work a lot. We work on scrum and touch and defense, and we see today that it was very important, and we defend a lot on the second half. But I think we were concentrate,
yeah.
And we wanted to do well and to enjoy playing, because to take pleasure, and I think we did today, so it's good.
Yeah, and I think this week I saw more Gabrielle Vernier than I saw last week, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a good game for me last week, but I wanted to show another version of me, and I think it's better this week, and we will try to improve if I have the chance to play next week.
Brilliant. And will the team celebrate tonight?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we have to enjoy every win, and a little bit in the
a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But we will start working tomorrow.
Brilliant. Merci, Gabi.
Thank you.
Oh, love Gabrielle Vernier. A little beer, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Gabby was, I actually had a little inside line there, because Laura Demuccio was working for the French broadcaster. She knows Gabby quite well, so she said to me she was really disappointed with her performance from the week before. So I was able to say, I think you might have played a little better this week. So that was nice to be able to have that chat. Just nice to be able to get some reaction from the French camp as well. And Nicol Rode is a coach I'd really love to sit down and have a chat with. But yeah, the French looking good. Laure Sansus was, another scrum half picking up a player of the match. She'd only played about 59 minutes before I got the word in my ear that she was going to be player of the match. I think I put it out on air possibly earlier than I was meant to. But the French looked as good as they needed to, didn't they? I think improved from last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And just managed to starve Ireland of all the possession. I think that was the difficulty. And then Ireland, as you mentioned, there was just unforced errors, just handling errors coming into play quite a lot. So the ball was just being pushed back onto the French team. And you know that French team, when their backs up, they just absolutely love playing on turnover ball. So really difficult for Ireland to get themselves into that game. And fair play to France, like they do look very strong at the moment.
Yeah, I bumped into Adele McMahon and Sam Monaghan in the airport on Sunday, flying back, of course, to London. Players who are at Wasps working in London, they'll be back with the Irish squad later in the week. But yeah, they were saying actually it was a case in the first half that they didn't have the ball, and then the second half the Irish did. It was actually only 14-5 to France in the second half, with Eve Higgins scoring that try. So it just shows how important getting your hands on the pill is. Perhaps in some ways, contrary to the men's game, where everyone seems to want to kick it away and not have it. But a chance to just have a quick look at the table as well. We looked at the result from round one, so just a chance to see there that England and France and Wales, of course, have all got 2 victories and maximums on bonus points as well. Scotland managing to finish within 7 and get that 1 point there. So Ireland and Italy yet to score. So we've had a brief cover on France against Ireland, but of course Wales-Scotland was the game of the weekend, and well, it was one that we were all looking forward to. Where there was news over the course of the week that there might be an extra number of tickets sold, that they might be able to beat that record of 4,113, I think it was, and news broke that it was over 4,200, I think closer to 5,000 in the end. Delighted to say that Lana Skeldon, who was in the game, earning her 50th cap for Scotland, is able to join us. So let's have Lana join us on screen. And well, it wasn't the result that Scotland wanted, an element of heartbreak within it, Lana, but scoring a try on your 50th cap is at least a fond memory that you'll be able to take from.
Oh, absolutely. To be honest with you, I think I celebrated a wee bit too hard. I nearly passed out. But yeah, no, it was class. Like, I really I did enjoy the game, like, despite the result. But yeah, like, lots of good memories to take from the week and from the day. But yeah, certainly scoring a try doesn't come that often to me, so I enjoyed that.
It was you and Emma Wassell's celebration. I think she was on the floor. Just looked absolutely brilliant.
No, I know, she literally fired me over that line, and then like just got up and was just so happy. Like, it was class.
Awesome. So you've been capped 2013, got your first cap, then you've obviously managed to get your 50th. Amazing achievement, by the way, pal. Like, huge congratulations on that. Just what have you seen, like, in the growth? Yeah, round of applause, nice.
Thanks,
What's
guys.
the main what's your main takeaway, like, in terms of your squad and like the growth of the women's game, like that whole time you've been involved? What's the most pleasing thing for you?
I think like as a squad, like we've grown so much, and we've had like a core group of players for the last 5 or 6 years, and I think we've really just stuck together. We've improved as individuals, which then has pushed us on as a squad. But I think like the exposure that the women's game's getting now, and the amount of support that we're getting, like obviously we had a record-breaking crowd at the Dam Health against England, and I think it just shows how far as a nation we're coming along.
100%. You mentioned there as well, you're such a stalwart. So 50 caps, for anyone that doesn't know, 46 of those have been starts. Like, it just kind of shows like the impact that you have on that squad. So honestly, can't praise it enough, mate. One thing I do want to ask though, 10 conversions to your name for Scotland. When did you get the boot, and when were you no longer allowed to take the kicks?
Well, I think I'm still in my chance, right? But nah, I'm only joking. I got sent to focus on the set piece, but now that that's a bit better, I might get another shot at the post. But to be fair, Helen Nelson's a brilliant kicker, so it'll be hard for the foreseeable, I would imagine. But like, if you need me, I'm always ready. But yeah, just focus on the set piece for a few years, to be honest. But no, like I do like a wee shot at the post, I must admit.
Well, of course, you wouldn't be a member of the front row union if you didn't really want to take that opportunity. Obviously, Mo talks about what you bring to the team and that ever-present nature, and of course your skipper at the weekend. Well, I think she earned a lot of plaudits as well, not only for her performance on the pitch, but actually for the words that she said afterwards as well. It was impassioned, and we actually have got that footage now. So let's just remind ourselves, if you missed it, as to Rachel Malcolm having a chat with Laura-Jane Jones after a tough day at the office for Scotland in Cardiff.
Rach, incredibly emotional, clearly. How disappointed are you with that result?
Yeah, really disappointed. Sorry. I think we fought for large parts of that game, and I'm proud of parts of the performance, but, we talked last week about we had opportunities which we didn't take, and as a squad we know that's not good enough, and we've done it again today. We had the pressure, we had the opportunities, and we needed to make more of them. Wales really made the most of their opportunities today. Every time they got one, they generally converted, and they put us under a huge amount of pressure, particularly at set piece, which last week was our strength, and going into this week we really weren't good enough. So from our point of view, we've had a tough talk with ourselves as a team in the centre there, and that's not a place we ever want to feel or be again. But we've got an opportunity to go out next week against France, one of the on-form teams in the world, and try and right those wrongs.
We've talked a lot in the past about this being a bit of a two-tier championship because of professional status, and now Wales perhaps are sitting in that top tier with most of you as amateurs. Is that what kind of was told at the end of this game, the fitness, because these girls are full professionals now?
I would probably say, from my point of view, no. I don't think fitness was necessarily our issue today. I think we just didn't capitalise on those opportunities. We also have had a pretty tough week. We've had a lot of disruption, if I'm honest with you. We're asking our front row to play 80 minutes, which in a game like that, that's so physical up front, is tough. It's really tough, and I'm super proud of the way the three of them stuck in. And Anne Young has been called in very last minute, flown out to Wales to play, has come on and put in an absolute shift off the bench as well. So, look, I don't think professionalism was the difference there. We consider ourselves professional because of our behaviours. We act like professionals. We might not have it as a title at the minute, but we pride ourselves on our behaviours and the way we turn up to training and our fitness and all of the things. So no, I think we need to be better. That's ultimately it. We need to take our chances. We need to be more clinical, and that is going to be our big focus going into next week.
Rach, I have to ask you about the decision at the end. Do you think the penalty was sufficient?
Look, I'm not here to argue. The refs had a pretty tough game today. There was a lot of decisions both ways, and it's not for me to say. Joy and our team are an extremely experienced team of three, and I trust their decision, and that's all I've really got to say about it.
Thanks for your time, Rach.
Thank you.
A lot.
Pretty well played there from Rachel Malcolm. Yeah, it's good, wasn't it? Very nicely done, but done with a lot of grace and poise, and also a fair amount of emotion, which at that point is obviously pretty apparent when you finish a game like that and given absolutely everything. What was the week like, Lana? Obviously, we're getting a sense that there were a few COVID cases in camp, and obviously people had to put in quite a shift.
Yeah, like obviously there was like a few like changes within the week, and like the squad that we've got is incredible. Like the amount we've been through in the last 18 months, like all the stuff with the World Cup qualifiers and like obviously like COVID and stuff, like we are like a very strong team who's went through a lot of adversity. But yeah, like we had a tough week in the lead up to that game, but I think obviously despite the result, like the performance we put in was like, in my opinion, was outstanding, like given everything we'd been through. So yeah, it was a tough week, but like Rachel said, there's parts of that performance we're really happy with and parts that we need to work on. But I think given the week we had, and like speaking on behalf of the front rows, we had to put in a lot of minutes in that game, and I think like the heart we showed, like it like we showed a lot of heart within that game, and I think we can take a lot from that and going into the next game against France.
Yeah, I should imagine so. And I think although those are 2 losses, and that's certainly not what you guys wanted at all, particularly having led in both games, but to be part of these occasions, to be part of a TikTok Women's Six Nations that, you know, we have mentioned the title sponsor, this kind of thing, but actually now 2 games you've played in successively with 2 record crowds, it is feeling to lots of us like the revolution is coming. Does it feel to you as well?
Yeah, like to be honest, when I ran out that tunnel myself on Saturday, like even though I'm Scottish and I was in Wales, you can still feel the atmosphere. And I think like that has a massive impact on the players, and you can just tell how much it's grown, and it's honestly just amazing to be part of.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, look, we also managed to get a little bit of reaction from another famous Scot, because he's been Scotland's scrum half and British and Irish Lion, and we saw Andy Nicol tweeting at the weekend in praise of Rachel Malcolm and the words that she said in that interview, and he was very kind enough to send us a video of his own. So let's hear from Andy Nicol.
Hi, it's Andy Nicol here. Really enjoyed the Wales-Scotland game yesterday in the Women's Six Nations, and well done to Wales for staying in the fight and then finding a way to win the game at the end. Scotland did a lot of good, and we'll be pleased with many aspects of the game. And they just showed a little bit of composure near the end. They too themselves could have won that game. But what I was really impressed with was the after-match interview from Scotland captain Rachel Malcolm. Probably one of the best I've ever heard. It was insightful, it was passionate, it was articulate, it was analytical, it was pure class. So to Rachel and the rest of Scotland girls, good luck for the game next week against France. Let's get a win.
Now, if anyone's been on social media, you may have seen the absurd comments made by Lee Jarvis about the fact that there needs to be more men covering women's rugby. I'm not entirely sure what he's on about, but it is good to have male allies and people with the sort of notoriety of someone like Andy Nicol showing interest in commenting on a game, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think like he's nailed it on the head there. Like Rachel is such a fantastic captain and always speaks with so much wisdom, and someone that I look up to. So obviously I watched the game back and seen her interview, and like I was crying at the interview because I was just so proud of the way she answered the questions that she was given. Like given in the situation, she just came off after that really tough game, and I just think like it's inspiring to watch her. So yeah, like I totally agree with what Andy says.
I think the one thing that stuck out for me on that was that you guys consider yourself professional because of your behaviours, and I think that's so huge. For anyone growing up and any aspiring rugby player, like that's the thing to aspire towards. It doesn't matter where you are, you've just got to work with what you've got, and I think that for me really stuck out, and it just shows like the class of the girl. Like I think she's a great person. She's clearly a great leader and so passionate in the game.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Lana, we're so grateful to have had you with us. Thank you for making time for us on what no doubt has been a tough couple of reflective days. But look, we've all enjoyed seeing Scotland put in decent performances, and if you continue to do so, then certainly the results are going to come. And good luck against France.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, you're welcome. We'll spare you asking about the sunburn, pal.
It's fading. It's fading. I promise it's fading.
Lana Skeldon, everybody. Thank you very much, Lana. And I think as we say goodbye to a Scot, well, maybe we can say hello to a Welshie, because Laura-Jane Jones is waiting in the wings to join us. So let's bring LJ through, and we can cover off a little bit of the Welsh angle, because it was Wales who came from behind once again and LJ, one half of the Try Hards podcast, BBC reporter extraordinaire. Yes, responsible for that hype video. Good evening.
I've gone full Mo in honour of her Player of the Match award yesterday. I've gone the trademark Mo Hunt do for this. So, yeah, what a weekend. Congratulations, Mo.
Thank
do you know what?
You have significantly more hair than I do, though, mate.
I've got more hair than most people, though, to be fair. That's not what we're here for. I have to say, just in light of Lana Skeldon being on, I'm somebody who often thinks that we in rugby broadcasting go a bit OTT with picking our player of the match from the winning side. She was the player of the match on Saturday. Sinead Harris was fantastic when she came on. She was a game changer. She was the same in Dublin the week before. But Lana Skeldon was the name I wrote down the most in my notes throughout that game. She was sublime. And to perform like that on your 50th cap, it's just another level. And what she brought to that game was just simply superb.
Very good.
And
yes,
80
good words.
minutes
as well.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, how did you view it then? Because obviously you were there reporting, getting some post match. It's a second game where Wales have come from behind, and the belief just seems to really be growing.
Do you know what? As Johan Cunningham came over for his interview, I said to him, "You've snatched victory from the jaws of defeat for a second game running," and I do think they got away with it a little bit. I do think for 60 minutes, Scotland were the better team. I don't think that Wales necessarily got the rub of the green in the first half with joy. And Scotland played that well by not committing numbers to the breakdown and stuff like that. They knew what they were doing and they did it well. But I think ultimately it doesn't matter in what style you win games. And Mo, you know, your experiences with the vast successes of the Red Roses, this is the exact lesson that Wales need to learn now. It doesn't matter how you win. It's just a W in that column that makes the difference. And on the one hand, I think the wounded beast that is Scotland in this same World Cup group as Wales later this year, it's a very interesting rematch. But at the same time, what Wales are learning from grinding out these wins, from getting them in these circumstances, actually, to me, reminds me of the way that Wales men have won certain Six Nations tournaments. So I'm not saying that Wales women are going to win the Six Nations tournament this year. And I think that this weekend could perhaps bring them back down to earth with a bit of a bump. I don't think that's a bad thing. But yeah, it's very exciting to be around this group at the moment. Very exciting.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of hype, isn't it? And all of the behind-the-scenes footage. Sorry, Nick. All the behind-the-scenes footage is excellent as well. Like, I think the coverage of it has just been amazing. And hats off to you as well. I love that hype video.
Oh, don't. The embarrassment. The apps. Yeah. I think the big thing for me is I didn't realise that I use my hands when I talk so much. And like over the past couple of days, I've said to mates, "Oh God, like imagine I did that in real life." And they're like, "No, you do that in real life." And then I've looked at all the photos of me interviewing Sinead post-match, and I'm doing it in all the pictures as well. So tie my hands behind my back from now on, because but you live, you learn.
It was really good though. The energy that came through that video was absolutely class. So are we getting one every week from you?
Well, wait and see.
Okay. We'll
watch
we'll cross those fingers. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, we mentioned Italy, England at the top when we were chatting to Mo, and a couple of her England teammates were actually in studio doing the game for the BBC, and we managed to get them to give us a bit of reaction as well. So a couple of former Rugby World Cup winning teammates gave their little review of Italy against England. Let's hear from Katie Daly-McLean and Rachel Burford.
So, Rach, what did you make of that England-Italy game?
I think really comprehensive from England. You know, set piece was really strong. We had tries across the board, real big impact from the bench as well. So I think overall impressive, but there are still some areas for England to work on for next week. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, I really enjoyed the kind of
individual
moments. I thought Zoe Harrison's well-weighted kick for Emily Scarrett's try when she just come on.
Maybe that one's not quite gone through. So we can continue then while that.
And I think Sarah Burns' try, 50 metres by a tight head prop.
Oh, we're getting that video in. Maybe we are.
Opposition, just the quality of those moments. But I think for me, we didn't see Italy really start to fire. We saw so much a better performance against France last week, and to be honest, probably a little bit disappointing. And we would expect England to be that good against that kind of opposition.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see what Wales can bring next week.
KDM and Berth absolutely owning it. I loved it. it was great to see that. Like,
lovely.
I know, literally, hair done, looked great.
That's what we need. That's, you know, Lee Jarvis can moan all he wants, but this is what I want to see: the girls glammed up on a weekend.
I think my Wi-Fi might be slightly out of sync with you guys, so apologies if I was screaming over the top of that, going. It wasn't working on my side, but anyway, it was great to have them both there, wasn't it? And have them in studio and have the likes of Sonia talking the way through. We're getting more and more of these broadcasters who are spending more time with the women's game and talking more knowledgeably over it. And the amount of coverage that we're getting on radio, on TV, in print. It was the front of the Western Mail, I think, wasn't it? The Wales women's victory.
Yeah, they're getting huge traction here in Wales, you know, long overdue, it has to be said. I do hope that there's a balance to that coverage in Wales, especially in terms of the girls that recorded 2 wins, and certainly the manner in which they won on the weekend when they kind of looked down and out to have come back and done it. You know, everyone's talking about it, and I tweeted that I was in the pub on Sunday. And, you know, my local is a bit of a football pub, a real kind of man's pub. And they were coming up to me to talk to me about the game, which was great. I don't think that this weekend we're going to see the Wales results that we've seen over the past 2. That's not me being negative, but, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Red Roses are head and shoulders above the rest of the world at the moment. They're uncatchable. Round 5 of this tournament is going to be fireworks. I can't wait. I just hope that the media in Wales appreciate the task that they have ahead of them this weekend. Because could be ugly, as it has been for everybody else.
Well, yeah, indeed. Let's in fact have a look at those fixtures for round 3 then that are coming up this weekend. As LJ mentions, it is going to be England taking on Wales. That's the game on Saturday, a 4:45 kickoff. And then we've got 2 games on Sunday, which is Scotland against France at 1 o'clock. We were just chatting to Lana Skeldon, of course, and Ireland against Italy, 5 o'clock. I think in terms of contests, we're certainly looking towards that 3rd game of the weekend. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the one of the weekend, isn't it, that everyone's going to have their eyes on. Personally, obviously, England-Wales for me. First game that the Red Roses get to go at home, and I know that Gloucester have already sold like 11,500 tickets or something like that, having a little race against Leicester. So fingers crossed the Gloucester fans can come in their thousands and fill that stadium out.
I think Ireland-Italy is really intriguing because Italy are a quality team. And, you know, we've talked a lot about their 12, and that yellow scrum cap is easy to spot as she runs around the pitch. And she's fire from wherever she is, 10 or 12, Beatrice Rigoni. But they haven't had an opportunity to show what they're about, because they're, you know, the 2 toughest games of the tournament are the opener and the second game they've had. So I worry a little bit for Ireland. I think if Italy get going this weekend, having had 2 such difficult weeks and knowing that's done for them now, it'll be interesting to see how that fixture goes. And I think, you know, Ireland, I'm not quite sure how that backline is going to work, if they've lost the girls to Langford this weekend or if they go after the fixture. But yeah, it's certainly probably the most intriguing game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think they go after this one. I think they should be involved this weekend. But yeah, I certainly think that is going to be the most engrossing. And you're right, Italy have had a tough opener with those 2 games. But I've yet to see enough from Ireland to really see them causing enough of a threat. They've got a lot of individuals, but certainly I was really disappointed in the first 40 in France over the weekend. I really expected a little more from them. Seemed to work a lot more second half, I have to say, and as they were getting flood onto the ball a little bit more, sometimes at first receiver, it just seemed to be going. Eve Higgins was absolutely brilliant, it's worth saying, as she often tends to be. Yeah, the England-Wales game, I think, is also, obviously, there's going to be some scores to settle. But I think ultimately it's an opportunity for Simon Middle to continue the rotation of that squad, which he's told us quite transparently. I was on a media session before the Women's Six Nations kicked off. He was almost giving us his selection for the first 2-3 games, because he was talking so much about how it had to be an opportunity for all the players to show their hands in the first 3 rounds. Then we have the natural break. And then he's got to start giving people what they've earned, because, of course, at that point, we've got rounds 4 or 5, 2 games, perhaps a couple of warm-up games, and then a big dance in New Zealand. So it's starting to get serious, isn't it?
Yeah, if you know the team for this game, can you let me know? Because I'm on edge. I just want to play at Kingsholm. So let me know, and then I can just chill out a little bit.
Mo, can I ask you
But
about
no.
that? It's a really interesting one for me in terms of the fact that the Red Roses have had opportunities, in previous seasons to play at Twickenham, but a ground like Kingsholm is so historic. And as a Gloucester Hartbury player, how exciting is it to have an opportunity to play in front of the Shed? It is a globally iconic rugby club ground, isn't it?
I can't even talk about it because I genuinely would be gutted if I'm not involved this weekend. And I don't even care the involvement. Like, genuinely, I just would absolutely love to go and play there. I missed both games for Gloucester Hartbury that were played there this season, one through COVID, one through injury. And yeah, like, just not having the opportunity to run out there has been gutting for me because, like you said, Gloucester girl, absolutely love it. Like, they live and breathe rugby in Gloucester. You can't go anywhere without somebody having a shirt on or some kind of memorabilia. And I just love it. I think it's amazing. So it's awesome. Like, yes, the aspiration is always to get to Twickenham and to fill somewhere like that out, but we're not there yet. So going to these stadiums and filling them out is amazing. And like, definitely where our game is at the moment, taking it around the world, making it accessible for people, the world, I mean country. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, making it accessible for people is so important.
My
Why not
first
the
ever
world?
match I went to see was at Kingsholm.
Was it?
Yeah, I was 5 years old. And my dad was working for a company in Gloucester, and we went to Gloucester, Leicester, and my sister vomited in the car on the way home. But it didn't put me off rugby, so things home this weekend.
Hooray! Well, everyone on the Nick and Mo show is certainly hoping that Mo gets a run out at Kingsholm this weekend. All two of us. Well, there's more than two of us, obviously. LJ is now an honorary member of the Nick and Mo show, and we're enjoying your contributions every week. LJ, thank you so much for being with us. I know that Mo has to shift off because it's a busy day when you're a top rugby player and having to be in camp. But thank you both very much indeed. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. And listen, everybody, have a fantastic week. We will be back with a review show next Monday at a similar time. But for now, we can all do a nice going for gold wave and say good evening, everybody. Thanks for watching the Nick and Mo show.